just 2 days away from President Biden's annual State of the Union address. On the heels of Super Tuesday, Biden is expected to use the event to echo campaign talking points, namely Bidenomics. But another issue is weighing heavy on the minds of Americans. Republicans have been critical of the president's immigration policies and the ongoing migrant crisis along the southern border. And in a brand new recent Gallup poll, immigration took the top spot as the biggest problem facing the country heading into election season. 28% listed it as their number one issue. That's an 8% jump from just last month. Let's unpack this now with Florida Republican Congresswoman Cammack. Congresswoman, it's always good to have you on the program. I wanted to start with the State of the Union. I understand you're bringing a special guest to that speech this week. His name is Ed Bravo, whose daughter died from a fentanyl overdose nearly 3 years ago. Why did you choose him?
Well, good to see you, Markie. I'm glad you're wearing your green. I think
Yes.
there was and in the water today about that.
Great minds.
Yeah, great minds. I am really excited and proud of the fact that Ed Bravo from Gainesville, Florida, is coming up as my special guest for the State of the Union this week, really highlighting the opioid crisis that has taken over 100,000 lives in our country every single year since Joe Biden has been president. And let us not forget that this fentanyl that is poisoning people in every community around the country, it's coming through the open border that Joe Biden has allowed to happen. And, you know, when I think of the story that Ed tells and his daughter Selena, who was just at the beginning of her life, thinking that she was taking something, not harmful, something that was going to relax her, it ended up killing her. And that is the case in so many people's stories who have lost loved ones, where you see they thought they were taking a Xanax, they thought they were taking Adderall, they think they were taking something else, and it was fentanyl that unfortunately ended their life, poisoned them.
I'm curious, how prepared is he to sit in that room and listen to President Biden, speak from that lectern, address the country, who is, obviously at the helm of this administration, with this border crisis? Is he prepared to listen on Thursday night?
Absolutely. When we asked he would be our honored guest, he immediately said, "I can't believe it. My father would be so proud." But you think about what is happening in this country. So many parents are in the same shoes that Ed is. And so Ed is a walking, talking, breathing reminder of the failures of this administration. And I hope that Joe Biden will make mention of all those that we've lost. And I hope that he will lay out a plan to address it. But I don't have tremendous confidence that he will, and that's all the more reason why Ed is and his presence are so important to be in the room on Thursday night.
Yeah, I know it'll send a strong message, and I can't imagine how emotional and heavy that will be for him. As you mentioned, his daughter isn't the only person that your community has lost, to overdose and addiction. But what action should the Biden administration take to combat Mexican cartels moving drugs into the United States? What would you like that solution to look like?
Oh, goodness. I mean, immediately, there's already 8 executive actions that Joe Biden has the authority to take to secure the border and stop the flow of drugs into the country. He has refused to do so. I know multiple times we have proposed on the House floor legislation called the Halt Fentanyl Act, of which every single Democrat voted against. We have all the tools necessary to stop the flow of illegal drugs coming into the country, but the Biden administration refuses to take action. This is something that if we had 300 people a day, which is really what we're seeing in terms of the number of poisonings across the country, if we had 300 people a day on an airplane crashing and losing their life, there would, by the end of the week, be a national task force to address all the planes going down. And all
that's a good point. Yeah.
There needs to be an equivalent response because this is a crisis and it's killing people in our communities. No one is left untouched.
Lastly, Congresswoman, before I let you go, I just wanted to touch on the fact that some congressional Republicans are actually pushing to cancel Biden's State of the Union address altogether. You have Republican Senator Joni Ernst, who, when explaining this, said, quote, "It's unfathomable that we don't have a national security strategy from the president, nor do we have his budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And because of that, we want to stop him from actually delivering the State of the Union." Do you support that move?
Listen, I have always been an advocate and proponent that you respect the office. You may not like the person who holds that office, but you respect the office. And the President of the United States has a longstanding tradition of addressing members of the House and the Senate. So I don't think that there's any gamesmanship that will stop the president from coming and addressing members of the House and Senate, as well as the Joint Chiefs in the Supreme Court. But that being said, this is his opportunity to really explain what he's going to do to address those things that my colleague and friend, Senator Ernst, just laid out. We need a national security strategy. We need to make sure that we have a budget from the White House, of which they are always late, and the budget is laughable. But they need to be there to be held to account.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.